Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And how are you all this evening? Hello.
Good. Hello.
Hello, Crystal. How are you? All right. So, how is everyone today? How was your week?
It was nice. It was nice in the way when you discover something
Okay.
that you should have known a little bit before, but it's like a light bulb goes off,
Mm-hmm.
and then you say, yes, and then afterwards you start to see things in a
Light.
different frame. Yes.
Okay.
So it was nice like that.
Okay. Very good. Very good to note. Anyone else? How was your week? Oh, you can't remember how your week was.
Think I also had the same enthusiasm as capturing, but I wasn't so sincere. More tired.
Okay. Well, we have those kind of weeks, those type of weeks as well. So I know that there are a few, well, there's only Crystal who's the new person here, but just let me give you a little synopsis about what befitment is. So befitment really supports individuals, groups, organizations through, whatever they might be experiencing. So it can be either individual or groups, and it is focused on, a lot of times people go to the gym, but they don't think about how their mindset is going or their mental health. And then there are those who focus on the mental, but they don't think about the physical aspects. So befitment does is really merge the two to assist persons with whatever they might be experiencing, in addition to a lot of other things. That is just really the tip of the iceberg. And also to offer even more support, we have these sessions on a Monday. We also have these sessions Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Sometimes we have workshops on Saturdays. We also do outdoor activities. We go on hikes. We do a lot of different things, bike rides. Yes, we do a lot of different things. So it is not just, we sending out posts and we are leaving you all to fend for yourself. No, we do a lot of engaging stuff to ensure that you really have the support. Even though we may not be online with you, we also offer counseling services from young children to all the way up to whatever age. Also group counseling, family counseling, counseling for spouses as well. So it's like a one-stop shop. Whatever you need, we offer. We just don't throw parties, just not as yet, but it might be sometime soon. So yes. Welcome everyone. I hope that you all had a really, really good week, and know that this evening's topic, and of course, you know that this evening's topic also leads into the the topics for this week. And for this evening, we are looking at releasing shame. And I know it is something that, it's not really spoken of because everybody kind of deals with shame silently. But when you hear the word shame, what tends to come to mind for you?
Embarrassment. Embarrassment. Deep embarrassment. Whether you're taking it from someone else, meaning that somebody has probably said something to you and then you choose to feel embarrassed, or you look within yourself and you find something there that you And I guess when you're talking about it, it would have come from outside too,
Because that would be
because
my next question.
that is,
Where does it really come from?
it would have come from outside, something in your past, something that you're probably referencing in your memories, an experience that you had, that you link it now with what is going on in the present, and you just map it back into the same thing. So you're actually reliving the moment. Or maybe a value that somebody put into your head that if you cross it, that, for instance, for a long time, there's a particular prayer. And I always used to say, but that does not make sense at all, because if that is the case, then how else would children be conceived? You know, the one that says, in sin did my mother conceive me. And I would say, but that doesn't make no sense. And eventually I got the explanations. But things like that, if you're holding things like that before you get the explanation, anything else like that related, you'll be feeling shame. There's a shame attached to something. So I guess that is why 2 cents works.
Okay. Anyone else? As it relates to the word shame, what usually comes to mind for you when you hear that word?
Uh, I, I think that I agree with Catherine for most of what she said. But for me, I would think is a deep sense of guilt. It could be internal or external. Because sometimes people bring stuff to your face. They mightn't actually admit it in the initial phase, but if you're introspecting, well, then you realize that whatever it is that person probably say or do to you at that point in time, it will cause you to feel
Mm-hmm.
some sense of shame. So I think it could be that as well.
But is guilt and shame the same thing?
Um, Not necessarily, yeah, but I think usually when you feel guilty, you tend to feel shame. So it could the guilt could cause you to have some shame.
Yeah.
Can
Because
I
let
tell
me
you?
just go ahead, Nicola. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share the same sentiments with both Catherine and Crystal, especially when Crystal brought up the point of guilt. Because I remember, like for me, last weekend someone asked me a question, and I was ashamed to answer. I didn't answer up to now and answer the question, but it's because I was feeling guilty. I wasn't. It wasn't my proudest moment. So what they were asking me something about the past that I'm not really proud of, and I don't really like that feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
the shame is there that I don't really want you to know that. So I think sometimes it's a matter of, yes, the guilt, sometimes it's a matter of you have that regret within yourself as well that would cause you to feel that sense of shame.
Yes, 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 yes.
I have my 2 cents. I think when you really sit and analyze shame, this is a learned behavior. Because as children, we don't look at shame. If you want to go from the biblical sense, Adam and Eve, it's not until their eyes were opened, then they became ashamed. So I think it's the same concept for kids. Kids are not born feeling ashamed. As you get older, you're ashamed of your weight, you're ashamed of how you look, you're ashamed of how certain clothes fit. But that's also like, excuse me, that's also like your personal perception about yourself
Mm-hmm.
or someone else. Because oh my God, you see how she dressed? It's so shameful, but it's still like something that we internalize. Because, sometimes you might be dressed appropriately, or and someone would come up to you and be like, oh my gosh, your tummy looks so big. Oh, you're ashamed, you know
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's kind of like a learned behavior. And the same thing with guilt. where you feel guilty. Why? You know, a lot of times you make mistakes or things happen, but that's just what it is, something that happened. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a learning experience, a learning curve. So I just think these are just learned behaviors.
All right, so before we continue, let me just let you all know what the difference is between the two. So, shame is an intensely painful feeling of being fundamentally flawed. So, an example would be um, someone feels like a worthless person who is only taking up people's time and wasting space in the world, you know, that kind of stuff. Or we see ourselves as unworthy. So that would be shame. Whereas guilt is a feeling of discomfort about something we have done against our unrealistically high standards. So, you know, you start out are going and run 25K for the year. So you only do two. So now you feel guilty because of it. So guilt really relates to something like a particular situation, but when it comes to shame, you think that you as a person, you are fundamentally flawed. Yes, Anastasia, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Good night.
Hello.
Um, Sometimes, well, I remember doing that a lot in my life, carrying other people's shame, feeling shame for other people. It's not me who do whatever it is, but I feel in shame.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It really comes in a lot of different ways, a lot of different experiences. Nicole, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to add to what Lisa was saying because yesterday I had this experience, right, where there was this little child and he seems to be autistic. He was giving symptoms of autistic, but I didn't really know anything about the child, but he seems to be like that. But I was watching how this child was free and so happy. And I remember telling it to my cousin, like, look at how free and happy this be before people place labels on us and then we choose to believe these labels.
Yes.
Because someone on the outside would look at him and say, okay, something wrong with him, and then or you, and then you would choose to accept that, and then now you have this sense of shame, this sense of feeling unworthy, as Adana was explaining, just because of what somebody say. And it's something that is really learned, because when you're standing in truth, you'll be so free if you don't give in to these labels of society.
Yeah. Most definitely. And you see, the thing is, shame is one of the quietest emotions, but one of the most powerful. And this is because it doesn't just influence what you do, but it can quietly shape who you believe you are. So, for example, unlike guilt, which states, I made a mistake, shame often whispers, I am the mistake. And you see, once that is left unchallenged, it can keep you trapped. And you know, Nicola could tell us, for as being the psychologist for befitment, as it relates to being trapped in cycles of self-criticism, perfectionism, avoidance, and emotional isolation. Because you see, once you believe that you are fundamentally flawed, remember every day that you get up, you're facing the day with that. So essentially, you're really facing the day at a disadvantage because you're thinking that something is wrong with you. When, just as Nicola said, in terms of the child who seems to be autistic, and the child is just free until somebody else places a label on them, and you would recognize in a lot of instances, shame doesn't come from within. Shame does not come from within because even for an autistic child, if you work with them, and whatever they might be, you know, whatever strength they might have, and you work with them in order to improve whatever that is, you think that they would ever know that there is something fundamentally flawed with them? They would not. They really, really would not until we put a label on it. But as it relates to shame, how do you deal with shame in your life? And and do you have a lot of experiences where you have experienced it and dealt with it a lot, or is it something that you tend to not really feel? Good evening to those who have joined us a little bit late. This evening's discussion, we are looking at releasing shame. And the question right now is, how do you deal with shame, or how have you dealt with shame in your life? And is it something that you deal with often, or is it something that you don't really deal with? And how do you tend to manage it?
Okay. In the past, I would be in the definition of something is wrong with me.
Fundamentally
Uh,
food. Okay.
yes, I would be there because I would say to myself, if something was not wrong with you, you would be able to do X, you would be able to accomplish Y, you would be able to be successful in X, Y, and Z. So clearly, something is wrong with you and you are doing something wrong. And then that would add a little bit more stress as you try harder and harder and harder. Because I would also say, just suck it up and work harder. If you keep plugging away, you will be successful in whatever you want to do. And sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. Sometimes you have a great idea. It starts to work. It looks prosperous. It gives you a little glimmer of, okay, success. And then it just starts to fade away. And then in those fading moments, now you start to really reinforce that something was wrong with you. And that's why it, I never saw it as anything like growth or anything like that. I saw it as growth when things were going my way. When things started to slip, if things started to slip, then it wasn't a question of growth. It was a question of if you had tried harder, done something, something has to be wrong with you. And so that has shaped a lot where you would find I would mask. I would if things I held the philosophy, if things are not going well, you must not let them see you bleeding. And I would tell my son that no matter what is going on, don't let them see you bleeding because the sharks will then circle really. So suck it up, put up a good face. And then over the years, you get to realize the damage. And you get to learn, and with befitment, you learn more and more. And now I am in a space where, okay, it didn't work. But it is really, really important for me right now to not pretend.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not doing good, I'm not doing good. If I'm not feeling well, I'm not feeling well. If something is not working out, I am no longer willing to pretend it's working out. And that I'm because that kind of thing carried itself into all different areas in my life,
Yes.
relationship,
Yes.
business, everything. Because you and you the funny thing about it is when you're hiding, you actually believe you're hiding or not. You believe that the people around you cannot see, and so you like this proper ostrich. Your bottom is sticking out in the sand, but your head is down, and you convince no one else is seeing you. So
Yes.
that is how I would have been dealing with like shame and things like body parts. Every single thing was graded and categorized. And if it wasn't perfect, then you felt some way about it. So my mission right now is to just it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I can grow, I can learn, but if it's not, first of all, I'm trying to make sure that I move away completely from expecting things to be perfect. This perfection thing, that was another one of my issues. So dealing now with, because you get to realize that it really doesn't matter. Because while you're holding on to this thing and you're feeling guilty about this thing and you're feeling ashamed, and most times people have gone on with their life, they didn't even notice you.
Long gone. They did.
It's
Listen.
like saying, um, you didn't notice the tear in my dress, and they'd say, what dress? You know, they didn't even notice the dress. Oh, you had on a dress I thought was a pants. So let's just tell you how far away you telling yourself people are seeing things and all these different things you have to be ashamed about. Everybody else in the same boat, dealing with their own
They
situations.
are dealing with their own situation, and that is very true. Because I remember once I had a cousin told me that, she was always very conscious of her shoulders, and when she said it, I went thinking because I never noticed it. And it really goes to show that a lot of times you have a particular view about something, and again, you're probably thinking that you're fundamentally flawed. And that only exists in your mind, because when she said it to me, I was like, I don't even see that. You don't even see it. And a lot of the times, the flaws that we see within ourselves, when we speak it, you recognize that people don't even see it. People just see you. They don't even see one particular aspect. They just see you as an individual. They just see you as a whole person. They don't see you dissected as how you would dissect yourself. The only
And
person really seeing that is you.
And sometimes the very thing that you criticizing and pointing out to them as a flaw, they're busy admiring. And so
Exactly.
they can't see what you're talking about, because that is what they find attractive, that is what they like, and so forth. So you just really spending up your energy.
Yes, that is really, really true. And then, even as Katrin explained as well, you would recognize that shame deeply, deeply influences. The first thing it hits is your confidence. That is the first thing it tends to hit your confidence. Then it affects your relationships. Because in a lot of instances, you creating scenarios and stories in your head, and again, the story is only real to you. Everybody else is unaware. Or you might even have a reason why you may not want to do a particular thing, or a reason why you're not going back to a particular place because you fall down once in Port of Spain and not going back there. Listen, right now everybody focused on what's going on in Trinidad. They focus on something else. They cannot remember you. They are focused on something else, and they always focus on what the next thing is. And then, okay, so I saw somebody put good. I used to avoid the issue or the person, yeah. And sometimes you avoid the issue and the person, and I tell you that person gone. That person is in Dubai lying down with a Mai Tai and having some fries and steak or something on a beach. The only person that really holds the energy of it, and the energy of the experience, and the energy of the shame is you. Because everybody else has gone on with their life, everybody else has continued to live, and everybody else is focused on them and how they could get yourself to travel to the next country. And then sometimes we just remain stuck with this shame. And for what? Because when you really look at the long run, who is shame really affecting? You think your shame affecting anybody else, or how you feel about you affecting anybody else? No. It is really only affecting you, and it is really only keeping you back in the grand scheme of things. Because again, it limiting your interactions, it is limiting your decision making, it is limiting your confidence, and it is also affecting your relationships. And in the long run, it is only affecting you. And when you look at it, what is there to really feel shame about when the lesson is the lesson? Because when you look back at it, are you not grateful for the lesson? So then why feel shame about the way in which the lesson came? Because at the end of the day, the lesson is the lesson. And if you hadn't experienced whatever the experience was, then you would not have learned the lesson in the first place. So then what is really the point of the shame? And then what is really the point of the guilt? So even if you say, well, I'm going to start to exercise, and you didn't, it just is what it is. Do you have to put yourself, and as I tend to say, you send yourself down the rabbit hole because of one thing? And because of that one thing, you stop doing 10 other things. And at the end of the day, again, who are you really affecting other than yourself? Who are you really affecting? And when you really look deeper, you would recognize too that shame often hides beneath, just as Kashin was saying earlier too, perfectionism and people pleasing and self doubt. Because when you tend to people please, when you do certain things, you think that you feel shame because you're thinking about what somebody else is thinking about you. And to be honest, guys, 9 out of 10%, even if they might think about you for 1% at the time, they are on to the next thing in 5 minutes because they have themselves to think about and their families to think about and their children to think about. So when you really look at shame, you realize shame, what it really does is it really has you in a cage. You are the person in the cage and everybody else is free. And the only reason why you are in the cage is because you have placed yourself there because of the thoughts that you are willing to entertain about yourself. When really those thoughts, they only exist to you, about you, and the persons who you are closest to or whoever is within your environment, they not even thinking like that as it relates to you. And yes, there are instances where persons may look at you and they might say particular things and make you feel shame about yourself, but you would recognize that even if the person said something, remember that really has to do with them. That has nothing to do with you. People bring in certain things to light about you, sometimes people might tend to make statements about your body or about different things that really has only to do with them. It has nothing to do with you. Because you might be as an individual based on, and I noticed this even with my cousins. I have a cousin who is very aggressive. She more aggressive than most. And you would recognize for the work environment that she is in, that is required. So you would see that when she is at work, she is aggressive, she is assertive, she is very short, she deals with you very quickly, and that is what is required. And you see, sometimes the things you look within yourself and you look at yourself and you think that it is a flaw when it is really an asset that you require so that you could get yourself to whatever the next period is, whatever the next moment in your life is. When all in all, you're looking at yourself as somebody that is flawed. And that is why, I would tend to make mention of crew cuts, who is just considered a barber, who is traveling the world, who has persons flying in from across the world to get the hair cut. Imagine somebody flying into the country to get the hair cut by a particular person. Imagine that. And that is just someone who chooses to focus on, listen, I really good in this area. Let me be good in this area. And that is all that it is. Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised, and I know Anastasia has her hand raised after yours.
What I was going to say with respect to the guilt, I believe it comes a large place from growing up with this notion of punishment. Good and bad, and somebody will punish you. So the first thing you feel is guilty over the fact that you have not done something or you did something and then you're expecting the punishment. So you tend to punish yourself first.
Right.
And then you just add. And sometimes, even if you've done something and it has offended somebody else, they might just pass that off, but you're still there in that space, beating up upon yourself, and you want to apologize 400 million times. This is something I have learned to walk away from in recent times. Just, you see all this, and you're so sorry, you're so sorry, you're so sorry. It and as Nicola mentioned, it frees you in a kind of way. You feel a lot lighter, you feel a lot freer. But I believe the guilt is also tied with this notion of punishment. When you do something as a child, you'll be punished. So somewhere in there, everything is tied up like a callaloo bundle. And if you could figure out a way to put on the bundle altogether, never mind trying to pick through the bundle to see what in there could be used. Just put on the bundle altogether and just, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I'm working on that right now. What is gone is gone. This is what I'm telling myself. What is gone is gone. And I remember reading something recently which says if you if you even if you're focusing on the here and now, you already missed the here and now. Because the time it takes for you to be thinking about something, that something has already gone. It's not even still here. So I'm trying to work inside of some of those guidelines now to work myself out of all I used to carry.
Yeah. 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 Anastasia.
Yes, I was wondering if shame is not ego family.
Well, it certainly it would be, it would be, it would be, it certainly would be ego's family. And you see again, a lot of times we come on, yes, and we discuss being neutral. If you function from a neutral state, just as was said in terms of the experience is the experience. After the experience, you take the lesson, you carry nothing else with you. Then would shame even exist? But why do you think we carry shame? Is it for comfort? Is it to tell yourself a particular thing about a particular situation? Why do we carry it? Why do we pick it up and carry it? What is the point of it?
Once again, I think it's something that we learn though. Because a lot of times, like Catherine was saying, you grow up with your parents, and this is one of the times I think like parents could like break their child, when they call them out their name or I'm ashamed of you. Because the thing about it is, with shame is something that we do when we try to please someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have like my son is like, oh my God, I wanted to go to school so it could be pleasing to you. And then if you don't do that, then you feel like, oh, I'm disappointing the person.
Right.
So it's something that you pick up because, and it's you unconsciously because you're so used to it, even if it's not about a particular person, you feel ashamed because, oh my God, if I fell down. So, oh, who's looking? Who's looking? Nobody's looking. It's all you. I'm so ashamed of this, but ashamed trying to please who? Who's looking at you? Who you think is looking at you? I
Yeah.
think we have the shame because we're so used to trying to appease other people instead of, trying to look within yourself and be like, okay, I did this, so I'm proud of myself, or I fell down, so let me get off, dust myself off, and, learn the lesson and move on. So subconsciously, it's always about trying to live up to somebody else's
Yes.
standards
Expectations.
and
Yes.
expectations. Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Nicole.
night.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I want to agree with Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
This whole shame is about how we perceive people look at us, what we think people may think of us, and the general view people have of us. We look we look at how people would or what they may say about us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as you all said, the people mightn't be on us because, as Lisa mentioned, I remember some time ago I was in my yard and I fell. The place was mossy. I fell. I went down real quick and I got back up half as fast. And I look around to see if anybody saw when I fell. And I looked around, I realized nobody saw, and I didn't feel anyhow. Now, if somebody had seen, I would have feel a certain way. So nobody didn't see, and I was good. So it's how we perceive somebody going to look at our actions or inactions. So it's just to move on, and I believe don't take it on too much.
Yes. And even if somebody say yes, they might laugh at you and I tell you in 10 minutes time they are focused on something else. Because the time they took to laugh at you, the pot start to burn on the stove, so they have to run that are going through water. Nobody is paying attention. Nicola, I know that you had your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to add as well. Sometimes the person might be having a bad day, and that laugh saved them from doing
Yes.
something that
Yes.
they didn't want to do. Also, I wanted to add as well. I think sometimes it's based also in self-comparison. So comparing yourself to someone and you're ashamed of these things because this person sometimes could be academic. This person did so much, or this person doing so well in these things. Or sometimes your body type, your size, your whatever. So you tend to find that you're comparing these things because you're comparing yourself to somebody else, and not so much somebody expectation of you, but your expectation, and this sense of perfectionism that we have about ourselves sometimes. So we tend to kind of bring down ourselves
Yeah.
with, and not honest, as I was explaining that Anna, the cousin who is aggressive because it's required for her job. So not understanding that these are the things that are required for you. Because I remember once being told that your body type goes with your purpose, and most of the times the job and thing that you have. And anybody know me, I tiny. I look like I'm in secondary school. And I work a lot with secondary school children. And it tends to work because they feel comfortable coming and opening up to you and stuff, because they see you, they don't necessarily see the adult, which would make it uncomfortable. But then when you talk to them, they know they're talking to adults because of the conversation that they would have. So sometimes it's you just comparing yourself to something else on the outside of you.
Yep. And exactly, you are exactly how you are. It is based on your purpose and what is required for you and of you. It is not based on anybody else. And you see, if you just focus on where you are meant to be, and just like crew cuts, just focus on your garden, what is required in my garden. If you just keep yourself there and focus there, then you would realize that things would be very, very different. I think Anastasia had her hand raised next.
Yes, sometimes it's the standards that you set for yourself. If you fall below it, sometimes that cause you to live in shame. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, I used to feel shame because I find I was pregnant too soon after my son. And this shame thing does go very deep. My daughter, nothing does feel shame as quick as my daughter. Listen to me. If you only embarrass my daughter and make my daughter feel shame, you could have an enemy. Like she sucked that from me because all through the pregnancy I was shamed, right? Because I find I have no right to be pregnant so soon. And so you really have to be careful with living in shame and carrying shame with you because you could do a lot of harm not only to yourself but also to the people around you as well.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what you just spoke of is really the transfer of energy. Yeah, I know that the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays we speak about that a lot, and you would recognize too that is something that really happens, and a lot of times it is unknowingly, but you're still moving forward as you know different. And again, we always speak of we come on here on a Monday, but then at the end of the day, what you're really doing with it when the opportunity presents itself, when the challenge presents itself, what are you doing with it? Are you really putting the tools into action? Or are you just continuing as you are? You have the same resolutions every year, year after year, and things are just the same. You think that you're feeling stuck and you don't know why you're feeling stuck, and you see that is why it is. Because when life presents the opportunity, are you making a different choice? Or are you choosing to make the same choices, expecting a different result, and then you're angry at the world? But really, you have to look within yourself. And even when you get up in the morning, again, remember, You are asking yourself all the time, self, what is required for you today? A lot of times we get up and we jump on the wheel and you start to run, 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 run. You don't even know what is required. You just start to run in any which way, any which direction. You don't know if your car need gas. You don't know if you might need additional water. You don't know if you might need an extra half an hour sleep, because you might need to miss an accident on the highway, or there is something else that you might need, a little protection from. But again, you just get up and start to run. And even we posted something today, a post that was asking about, can you find you? So beneath all these schedules, let me just share it quickly. A lot of times you don't even know where you are. A lot of times because you just keep running. So here is the post. Can you find you? Beneath the schedules, the expectations, distractions, the person you are meant to be has never disappeared and is awaiting your attention. Can you find you beneath the clutter of your life? So even if you were to ask yourself that question in this moment, what would your answer be? Can you find you?
A few months ago, it would have been really difficult, but there's a little bit more of me now. Moving away the clutter. There's a lot more of me now.
Okay.
I think that's what I was going to say too. Sometimes, we think about clutter in a physical sense,
It is not.
but yeah, but finding you amongst all the chaos, the overthinking, the over processing, what does one think, and even like in our daily lives, like you said, you get up and you just go, 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 and you don't ever sit and like take a step back and slow down and just enjoy the process. And to me, like doing that, like trying to multitask, you cook, you clean, you wash, you're trying to do 6 different things at the same time. That's clutter. So how could you really find you when you're not taking the time to slow down and just, try to accomplish one task at a time and, just flow through life instead of thinking that, okay, well, I have to go to work tomorrow and I have to this to do next week. So I have to get as much as I could get done today. And, so that is clutter in itself. So finding you is really taking the time to slow down and do self-care, self-eval,
Yes.
look within, slow down and smell the roses,
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I was early on with the sense of shame. How we see, I think sometimes we grade the shame as well. If you, depending on who you might want to impress or the value that you have placed on someone else's opinion of you, ties back to the level of shame that you take on yourself. If you do not really consider the opinion of, let's say, Mr. X or Miss Y, then you find that their remarks, their opinions, you don't even grade it into your system. But let's say you hold Mr. Thomas in high esteem and you compare yourself with Mr. Thomas or Miss Thomas and you see yourself as less than this mythical perfect person, then a word from them, a look from them, a silence, a withholding of information or attention or anything, that intensifies the shame in you because now you have set it up as, and it's really your perspective of the whole thing. Eh? Nobody else is saying anything. It's you, and you.
Yeah.
First, second, and you tie with yourself for third, because it's your perspective of what you think they might be thinking about you. Even if they said something to you, it's still like, so what if they had said it in a foreign language? You would not understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be no reason to take it on. But because we peg ourselves in terms of this person is big, this person is high, this person could walk on water, and Paul only me. So anything that you're, so comparison really there adds to the level of shame that you're putting yourself through,
Yeah.
because the other person, they're really just on their own business, even if they say something to you, is really a reflection. I remember this lady, every time she would meet me, she would talk about my weight. You put on some weight, girl. You're getting bigger like you done your sister. And eventually one day I said to myself, this is not even a conversation. So before I would try to explain something or say something, and then afterwards I just said, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Really doing fine. And I would just move out of the space and not add to it at all. Because I'm thinking, I would usually say, if I'm putting on weight, there's food on my table. There's nobody in the farming putting on weight at all. So, but yeah, how you see yourself in the eyes of this other person
Yeah.
adds to how much shame you put on yourself.
Most definitely. Lisa, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of look from a different perspective. So, I mean, one of the things is we look at ourselves and what we or how we feel like someone makes us feel ashamed, what they do to make us feel ashamed. But I think a lot of time as parents, we don't realize that we instill this in our kids. Because you don't understand, like, they're individuals. And when you say certain things or you set certain expectations for them, oh, I want you to be a doctor, or I need you to be this, or I need you to be that, that in itself is putting so much pressure on them, or I need same thing, you're putting on too much weight, or you need to do this, or you need to, So I think one of the things moving forward, I feel like we also have to be mindful of the things that we say to people or we say to our kids that would kind of inflict that type of pressure on them to feel ashamed.
Yeah, most definitely. Because that is where you would recognize a lot of times that is where it is really introduced there through someone else. And then once that happens, you tend to take it on and then it grows from there. Anastasia?
Yes, listening to all of this, I am thinking that the true reason for shame is that you're not good with yourself. You don't feel good about yourself, or you're not good with yourself. You need to foster a better relationship with yourself, because I feel if you're really good with yourself, it have nothing nobody could say could make you feel shame about yourself.
Yep, that is very, very true. Which brings me to another post that I wanted to share quickly with you all, which spoke about comparison turns life into a race with no finish line. Chasing moving targets set by others rather than pursuing what genuinely matters to you erases your identity of self. Your self worth is not measured against someone else's timeline. And because of that, you need to live at your own pace. Do you think that you live at your own pace? Or do you think that you live at the pace of someone else's timeline and it is based on what other people are doing?
think we fall into living at the pace of society.
Yeah. And how
Does it-
has that been for you?
Because I know for myself, living in the US, there's a sense of guilt when I could be sick, I have to call out to work for whatever reason, and you're like, oh my gosh, so you put so much pressure on taking time off to take care of yourself. It's almost like I am ashamed to call out, or I feel guilty for calling out because you're sick. So society, and especially in this country where, like money dictates everything, and it puts a lot of pressure on you. And, as an employee, as a citizen, as a person just trying to live up to society's standards, you're looking at magazines, you're looking at, these models, and especially for younger kids, like teenagers and stuff like that, the things that's portrayed on social media, things that's portrayed in the media, where they try to live up to this 00 size, So I think society put a lot of pressure on us as individuals.
Yeah. It really, really tends to happen because I remember having a conversation with a coworker once, and he was explaining, he said that they're not this generation under pressure. And they really are, because especially looking at what is happening online, there is a lot to compare yourself to. There is a lot to compare yourself to. And I remember once even having a conversation with a cousin, and she was explaining, she showed me this person's profile and was explaining that this person is living her life. And I was like, listen, this person is showing you what they want you to see. You know if they could pay their rent at the end of the month. You know if they have groceries in their cupboards, in the fridge. You don't know. What you are seeing online is what people would like you to know. It is their best moments. It is rare that you would see that persons are really showing you everything that is happening. The persons that you see successful right now, not all of them are posting the difficulties, the challenges, the failures. No, they are not posting that. And a lot of times when we encounter that, what we tend to do is, you see that? Again, I feel in shame. I leaving this alone. I not know. Imagine if the person who made the light bulb decided, you know what, I'm going to give up. Would we have light today? Imagine if the person who decided, you know what, I feeling hot, I'm going to devise a way to let cool air into a room. Would we be cool now with air conditions? If the person who decided, you know what, this car thing, this car idea, I have this vehicle idea, let me not bother with it, this is too difficult. Imagine if all of these persons were ashamed to continue with what they are doing because they failed so many times and they didn't continue. Where would we be now? Imagine if the person, whoever was the person who started, well, the whole cell phone idea. Imagine the person who started WhatsApp now, where we could easily contact persons without even having to pay. If all of these persons who encountered the difficulties and the failures and the challenges and all the different companies that they went to support for support, and the companies told them no, imagine if they felt shame and decided, you know what, I'm not going to go on because of this, then where would we be? And even the persons, the most successful persons, remember, they also have this hurdle to overcome. But for a lot of us, we tend to hold on to it, and you make it your home base instead of seeing it as something that you overcome. Or you're seeing it as, okay, I might feel shame, 2 minutes, okay. And then that is the end of it. Do you need to feel shame about something next year for something that happened 5 years ago? The only person that probably remembers is you. The person who you think remember, by now they probably have dementia. They don't even remember. They don't. because you recognize a lot of the things that you're holding, it is just you holding it. Why not be free and do and live and experience what you are meant to experience? Because at the end of the day, the experience is the experience. The only people that tend to hold on to the experience and how the experience felt, especially when it was not a good experience, are the adults. Children, they go today, they ride their bike, they fall down, they are going back tomorrow. They go to the beach, they try to swim, they almost drown, they are going back the day after. Whatever children experience, they experience as it is meant to be experienced. Because no child experiences something and then, no, most children, they experience it, yes, but. Or even they might have a little hiccup with the friend in school today, and then tomorrow they are best of friends. And then we tend to hold on to whatever the tentative negative, what we thought it was negative, the experience was. And for what? Guys, a lot of the times with these things, we really only holding ourselves back. And then you're realizing shame is a you thing. It is just a you thing. Whatever you are thinking of as it relates to yourself, even if you think there is some fundamental flaw with yourself that only exists within you, the rest of us don't even see it until you bring it to our attention. We do not even see it. And even if somebody attempts to put shame on you because of something that has more to do with them than it does to do with you. And everything that you have, everything that you are equipped with is for your being, and it is for your purpose in life. That is all that it is. And you know, in Trinidad, we have a saying, just as catching something wrong with she, something wrong with him. You even say it, you say to yourself, something has to be wrong with me for me to keep experiencing the same things over and over. No, you have to examine your patterns. There is a particular pattern that you are in, and you really have to examine the pattern to recognize, why does this thing keep repeating in my life? It is because of a pattern. Nothing is fundamentally wrong with you. Nothing. Even if you might see it as that, when you look at it on a deeper level, you recognize that is required for you as an individual. What is required for Crystal is not required for Lisa. What is required for Lisa is not required for Nisha. What is required for Anastasia is not required for Catherine. And because of that, you do not need to compare yourself to anyone else. Each individual has strengths. Each individual will have things that they are not so good at. Does that mean that something is fundamentally flawed about them? No, it does not. If Crookuts tried to be an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, he probably would not be where he is today. And vice versa. You really have to live at your own speed and examine and identify what is required for you, not based off of what you see on social media, not based off of anyone else. It is not based off of anything else. It is solely based off of you, and the only way to identify that is to slow down and really ask yourself each and every day when you get up, self, what is required for me today? What is required for you yesterday? Is it required for you today? No. What was required for you last week? Is it required for you today? It may not be. That is why it is important before you start your day to ask yourself the question, self, what is required for me today before you proceed? Because you might be proceeding on yesterday's requirement and not today's requirement. So it is important that you really look within yourself first. And then you would realize that, I really hold all the answers to myself. Why was I even looking outside of myself for the answers anyway? So think about it, that it is also something to practice throughout this week. And even examine the things that really bring shame to you and prepare to release them, because you recognize it doesn't need to hold as much weight within you as it is currently holding. It's not required. All it is doing is really holding you back. It is not doing anything else than really holding you back. And do we have any more questions before I let you all know what is the schedule for this week at the Balance Center? Yes, Crystal, I'm seeing that you have your hand up.
I know this question might seem kind of weird,
No.
but is it possible for someone to have no shame?
Yes. Because if you're functioning from a neutral state, what you have no shame. And that is the perfect person to ask that question, because guys, this is someone that I went to school with for years, and she is in the category of no shame. So yes, most definitely. You see, once you look at life from acceptance, what is, then there really isn't any shame to be experienced or any shame to be felt. You know, because again, just as children approach life, the experience is the experience. I have a nephew, and I've told you all a lot of times. I don't think he has any. No, he doesn't. He does, if whatever is in his head to do, he does it. And then he would come back, and whatever is the consequences, and however you deal with him, he takes it. And I can tell you, my sister is on this life. In 5 minutes' time, he is back to, yeah, auntie, so we're going on the beach. Or, yeah, auntie, I could get a snack. Or, yeah, auntie, so we could watch a movie. He is back to square one with you. He is not holding you in mind. He is back to square one with you. He is not even thinking about, okay, that happened yesterday. Okay, yeah, I left all my. There was a time too. He left all his sandwiches from school just gathered in his room. I can't remember where he left it, and my sister discovered it while cleaning. And I tell you, in 5 minutes, he is back to, okay, yeah, I did that. So yes, Crystal, that is certainly feasible. Yes, Anastasia.
I know the people who have no shame that be the happiest people you
Yes.
can ever meet.
Yes. They are, because they are free. They are free. Because remember, they are not bound. They're not in a cage. Remember, shame tends to put you in a cage and it has you bound. They're not in a cage. So you could say what you want. You could think whatever you feel about the person. And I am telling you, my nephew is one of those persons. You could tell him whatever. In 5 minutes' time, he is back to, yeah, auntie, you finished cook? Whatever it is, he is back to square one. And you see, that is really how we are supposed to live. Because at the end of the day, who is thinking about you? After whatever you think the shameful experience might be, the only person thinking about you is you. Everybody else have moved on to deal with whatever it is they have to deal with. People have themselves to consider, themselves to take care of. They are not paying attention to you. You know, the only person paying attention to you and your shame is you. Yes, Nisha, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Bye. Good night, everyone. This is a very informative and engaging live, and you know, listening to everyone give their contribution, and I trying to figure out where shame went with me, and then this person asks if there's no shame, and I resonate with that because I think dog ate my shame. After I gave birth to my daughter and my water bag burst, after that that left the building, and I view life from a like a disappearing messages standpoint. After 24 hours is a brand new refresh.
Yes.
And to me, it's like, because I remember things. I think now that I've gotten older and because of experiences, I don't recall things. I don't remember what I had on last week. You know what I mean? So it's like these things, it had me thinking, like, when last did I feel shame, boy? Like, I couldn't relate because I think that I am an observer of people and life, and I make note to myself very quickly so that I would detach or drop off things or surrender things and let go of things because you would have read or heard or would have been in somebody let's call them sessions, self improvement sessions and whatever, and they would talk about letting go, detaching, surrendering, things like that. So I would adopt things pretty quickly where it would make my life easier. As your friend would have talked about, I don't feel guilty. I would call in sick. I would, the hype of calling in sick would be like, get into character. But other than that, I don't feel guilty. I do it. In my younger years, I used to feel like how, but now I don't. Because it is, for me, it's something for me. And as the person I said before, I think it was Anastasia, you have to really reach a point where you love yourself, you fully understand yourself, you're closed off all these different tabs in your head and just stop. And I think that with life, I have learned to just really stop. When I find it's too much, because Adana and I would have conversations and she would understand why I say that. Yeah, I just want to stop. I just stop. So it was interesting hearing everybody give their account of things, and to the person who will say upon wait, I was like, well, I'm grateful, thank God. I move on. It's like you cannot reduce me. You cannot box me in because I'm not that. I know I'm a light. So you have to become aware of yourself and who you are. And I know I'm very self-aware. You cannot inbox me. You cannot diminish me. You will try something and I will say that's your point of view, but I'll let you know my point of view as well. You can't. So this was very interesting tonight. Thank you.
And even before we continue, I just want to remind everyone, a lot of times the thing that you think is a challenge for you, and this is based on a conversation I had with a cousin today, and I was explaining to her, listen, the thing you fretting about and the thing you too ashamed to talk about, 15,000 other people already experience it. And if you just open your mouth and have a conversation, they would let you know how to get over because they've been there, done that already. And a lot of the times you think it is only you experiencing this thing. It is not only you experiencing whatever it is. It may not be the same thing, but we all have similar experiences. We all have similar experiences. And again, you could recognize that from this discussion tonight. And you see, that is really what befitment is about. Sometimes you think you're on a boat, you're on a ship by yourself. It is not about that. So that is why we come on here and we offer the support. And it is a very extensive support. And it is not just limited to, again, we stand out post on social media, no. We have these online sessions. Of course, the Mondays are free, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, they are very in-depth. And they are $150 for the month. Imagine you are getting 12 hours. 12 hours. Sometimes it's more than 12. It might be about 14 hours if it goes a half an hour extra every week for $150 a month. Yes, people tend to think we are crazy about the price, but the price is the price. And you're getting all of this support, and it again, it's not limited to that. Within that, you could also get like counseling sessions. I can't remember how much it is for the month with that. And if you need additional, then you would have to pay the additional. And it is not limited to that. You also get access to the workshops. Still not limited to that. You have access to the hikes, all the different outdoor activities. We also have the fitness sessions. That is also 150. And again, that is not limited as well because we do a lot of different things. Yes, we might work out. Then we go down in the savannah, which we have to do tomorrow. Then we have water aerobics. So there is a lot of different things to keep you all engaged. and to ensure that you're not just focusing in one area, because when we tend to focus in one area of our lives, the other areas tend to fall. So befitment was really created so that you could focus on the whole you, because a lot of times what we tend to do, now let me just focus on fitness, but your mind racing during the night, and you don't know how to turn it off before you go and sleep. And I know some of us still experiencing that, and you're not sure how to turn it off. But do not worry, we will get there. And also, there are those who, yes, you focus on the mindset and you might be going good in the mindset, but every day that I get up, I'm feeling sluggish. My blood pressure high. A lot of different medical things happening, and that is why it is important that you really focus on the two areas. You really need to focus on both, because they do work hand in hand. And we are not just telling you this to get your money. It is not that. They do work hand in hand, because a lot of times you would hear that, yeah, this person, they were fit, they were working out, they were this, they were that, they were whatever, and then they end up, in some instances, they're taking their own lives. Because again, sometimes what people need is a simple conversation such as these. And I know for Trinidad, this is not something that the Trinis are accustomed to, but still, it is new, and it is, of course, not limited to Trinidad, because we are hybrid and we also have the app. So it is really for anybody who requires the support. So let me let you all know what is the schedule for this week at the Balance Center. So for tonight, we spoke about releasing shame, and tomorrow we have counseling and consultations from 10. Then from 6, we would be looking at understanding emotional wounds. So in this, we would learn to identify emotional wounds and how it affects identity. Then from 7, of course, we have the fuel and flexible body workout sessions. On Wednesday from 10, we have counseling and consultations again. And from 6, we would be looking at emotional resilience through adversity. So here we would be discussing increase in our strength and resilience during hardship. And on Thursday, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And then from 6, we would be looking at forgiveness and emotional freedom, which I guess Crystal spoke of, where you are emotionally free from shame and all of that. So here we would be understanding freedom in the modern world from 7. We would have another fuel and flexible body workout session. And then on Friday at 10, we have a UJG breathing meditation, which is private. And then from 3, we have free to be, where you release, relax, restore, and unwind by appointments only. Let us know if you are interested. And on Saturday from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we would be closed. Also, we have our Genius Goals Challenge still happening. And, okay, just 1 minute. Let me let you know what the questions are for this week, so that, all right, first let me let you know what the Genius Goals sessions really are about. It's for persons who are interested. It really helps with self-reflection. So for those who have entered, they know that with the questions that are posted every week, it really helps you to identify certain things within yourself. So it is really, really, really important. And you would understand when I read the question. Sorry about the taking so long. I just recognize that I may not have had. All right. So again, let me just let you know what the questions are. Okay. So these are the questions. Question number 1, where does shame show up most strongly in your life? Again, question 2, how has shame influenced the way you see yourself? What expectations are you carrying that were never truly yours? Question 4, can you identify a moment when you confused a mistake, which is a lesson in brackets, with your identity? What are you afraid people will discover about you if you stop trying to be perfect? Question 6, are there areas where you are seeking approval instead of trusting yourself? And then question 7, if shame no longer had a voice in your life, what would you finally give yourself permission to become? You know? So, take a shot at the Genius Goals question and answer them and see what comes up for you. Again, guys, I would like to say thank you all for logging on to tonight's discussion. I hope that it was very informative for those who are interested, who are not yet on during the week and you are interested, you could always message us and let us know. And if you are not able to join during the week, we will see you all back here each and every Monday, unless there is a holiday, to continue our discussions and to continue, sharing the wisdom. So everyone have a wonderful night. Have a mindful week. And if shame attempts to get into your system, please release it. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night.
Good